I've decided to do a layout tour. One of my favorite advantages to watch trains coming and going from Howe Street Station. A few background items, but it's not finished. Probably never will be. Howe Street Station. My footbridge, which is not fastened down. I recently redid the connection on these because I kept finding them tilting at inopportune times. And if they tilt far enough, trains hit them, which is not my favorite thing to happen. There's the back of Jeff's car. For those of you unfamiliar with early 50s UK, there were frequently women who could be found scrubbing steps and fronts of houses around the doors and things. This scrub woman is down on her hands and knees scrubbing the sidewalk in front of the bank for some reason. You can't really see down there because there are two trains in the way, and these are removable so that I can set cameras down in there and get points of view that I otherwise wouldn't be able to get. The FARLAND HOWE flower bed. It's a little hard to make out, but you can sort of make it out. FARLAND HOWE. Here's something you probably rarely or never see. This building has only recently been completed, as you can see, and there's a painter in there. The windows haven't been installed yet. They're stacked against the wall. It's much more effective when the lights are out. One of my two trees I have installed over here by the castle. Ancient old tree, been there a long time. People can remember that tree. It's one of the things that they remember about the castle, the old tree. This double-decker bus I bought at the National Rail Museum in York. It's kind of a London transport thing. Kid's toy, really. But I liked it, and I wanted it. Here are the controls for the crossing. This is sound, and this is the arm. The arms are on, but the sound is off at the moment. When I'm just running trains, I find the sound somewhat annoying. Pretty sure it's armed. There's a mysterious tunnel or portal into the castle right here. The young kids, they think it's really cool to go in there. It's damp, wet, stinky, but nevertheless, they find it quite a treat to go in there and investigate. Cable trunking, once again from Scale Model Scenery, and some of these cabinets are custom. I built those from plastic, just for grins. I don't know, I was looking for something to do that day, I guess, and I made a few of those. This young man back here is having a cigarette. Could be Graham Fulton as a youth, I suppose. Here's his lookout, first lookout. Here's the second lookout. He's distracting the schoolmaster, who's there with a couple of the other young boys who know absolutely nothing about where Graham's gone. No, haven't seen him. I was a smoker at that age too. It's funny, when you look close, you see things that make you curious. These folks here are watching the demonstration of ancient fighting techniques. On a nice afternoon, Saturday afternoon. Gathered a small crowd here. I think this young girl, these two young girls, they're quite interested in one of the fellas there. And they're intrigued by the whole scene. Oh, there's Grandpa with his broken leg. He's coming up, wants to see too. The house that's always under construction. Always filling the mixer. Always filling the mixer. Oh, there's me. Driving my favorite car, an MGTD. Trying to avoid the obstacles and a bit wary that a car could come flying around the corner here. In fact, we had a little prang here. Fellow, I don't know exactly what he was doing. Apparently no drinking was involved. He seems to be okay. He's standing there by his car. Ambulance is standing by, but no one seems to be hurt. However, the fence has been knocked down and broken, and that's going to have to be repaired. He'll probably have to pay for that. My Invacar. I have two Invacars. For you American folks who don't know what those are for invalids, particularly World War II, World War I guys that came back, missing parts. Well, we couldn't go past this without saying hello to Sarah. That's where she lives, the lighted room, flat. Looks like she flicked the light off and on there for a second. My, that's a large dog. Hope it didn't arrive in that teeny tiny car back there. Probably did. Of course, that's Sarah's office. You may know that. And Jeff lives over here on the end unit. It's got a nice townhouse there and a separate garage for his car. I call this Castle Bank. It drops 4.5 inches from up there at the end of that curve to down there around the corner just as it goes into the tunnel mouth. Maybe it's not 4.5. Could be 3. The difference in the height of the track can be seen right there. Now, I don't know if we can see the track from here. But it's just on the other side of the retaining wall, or just on the other side of the old signal box, disused signal box, out of commission. There's the signal gantry. No trains have run through here, so we're getting a yellow over red at the moment. When the signals wake up and trains are running, then they go back into their automatic sequence. These towers over here are HO, and that tower is what I'm saying is 00. Oh, I had to glue this tree. It was loose at the base for some reason, so I glued it back. I think it's pretty sturdy now. Another fairly recent tree, and of course the oak tree. And over here, of course, is the FARLAND farm. Two Spitfires flying in formation, very low. These young fellas are living very dangerously with those power lines right there. Expected construction. Construction hit a bit of a snag though. They were going to build houses here, but unfortunately, or fortunately, these trees are quite old, and the people in the area and the surrounding area, they didn't like the idea of having those trees chopped down for a few houses. Perhaps you could build houses somewhere else, they said. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but one of my favorite little details is Farland Walk. Let's see if we can see it. This farm has been abandoned for a few years now. Got a tree growing out of the barn back there. Not a pretty picture. I expect the barn will fall down one of these times. Something relatively recent is the stonework here. I just had some brick paper on some card stuck to the side of I call it the cassette because it's a whole framework that that viaduct. The viaduct it's a Hornby model. I bought it, and it's all pieces, you see. And in order to use it on the layout, it needed to be one glommed together item. So what I did was I built this cassette or framework, essentially, and glued all those pieces into it where I wanted them. And then screwed and nailed, well, mostly screwed, this whole layout screwed together. I don't think there are very many nails. I didn't nail the track on this layout. The track is almost all glued. If you look really close, you might find 4 or 5 nails here and there in the track. But the cassette, as I call it, goes from this embankment to this embankment. So this is the cassette. Very same cassette that was on the previous Farland 1. But I decided to decorate the ends instead of red brick on cardboard, which really looked hideous, I gotta tell you. I put some stonework there, and I think that looks a lot better. It's kind of a narrow passage. There's my lake, hanging lake. If we look down in, we can see there's a small river. And if you can see it, that is a Dodge pickup truck. That's the only American vehicle on the layout. There's the cabin. And of course the cabin has a fireplace in it, and you can see the fire burning. Usually you have to get down pretty low. I don't know if this rig that I've got will allow us to see. Oh, yes, yeah, there's a fire in the fireplace there. Cozy little cottage. And no, Graham does not live there. Graham, unfortunately, does not live on my layout. I think he's riding a scooter somewhere, though. I would do this again and do it differently if I could, but I can't get in there to do it now. Too late. I recently added this element so that the wires could go over here into the signal box or to the relay panel. There's somebody working on the relay panel right now. Actually, it must be a very troublesome relay panel because there's always somebody working on that one. Then we have this enterprising young man who has driven his government vehicle, Land Rover of some kind, up above. I hope he doesn't have any problem getting down from there. I'm worried about that. It was quite a feat getting it that high, and he seems to be continuing on. Not sure why. There's one of the first trees I ever built. Right there. Let's get the light out from behind it. Now this is a scenic break. If you are not familiar with the layout, this cliff that runs around this 180 curve is a cheap device to separate Farcliff Station from the curve so that we don't have tracks running together. Works quite well. Here's my favorite signal gantry, made with plates instead of shapes. A very modern design using thin plates welded together. Very strong and very light. This is Farmore Junction. If you were coming into it, you would be traveling this way, and the double slip would take you across over to the main track, where you could either go on the runaround or go up close to the platform. A word about curved platforms. From the other side, this doesn't look too bad, but the fact of the matter is, it's not practical. The curve would have to be very much, probably 4 times the radius in order to truly work. At least 4 times the radius. You know, in videos and things, you see these curved platforms and in pictures, but those radiuses are huge. Very much unlike what you can do normally on a model railway. That's scratch built. The driver is ordering tea. The wait won't be long. They'll have it ready for him momentarily. Could be Graham right there. Not sure. Could be. Seems to be in a hurry. Get someplace. Might be going to the beach. I don't know. Farmore. Fish and chip shop. Sunnyside. I think that's what that is. Sunny Times. Beachwear. Yeah. Sunny Times Beachwear. The Edinburgh Woolen Mill. No tenant there. The pub. Fish merchant. More fish and chips. There's a good market for fish and chips in this town. It's not far from the sea. Oh, my. Maintenance needs to get out here and get some of these plants removed. There's the ruffian's house, quite overgrown in back. His car has seen better days. As I recall, the first time Sarah visited Jeff's grandmother, who lives over here, by the way, in one of those units. I think the one on the right. Could be the one on the left. Not sure. She was a little nervous about going past this fellow's house, all overgrown and fence about to fall down. It's a stone drive back along the church property to get back in here. Good access to shopping, though. Sorry about the wobbly. This is the Farmore Junction control panel. It's kind of like the signal box, only the signal box is on the other side. If you're filming, you don't want to stand right over there, so controls are over here. This controls the double slip down here. Freight to up line, up main. Freight to down main. About my favorite new tree right here. When placing these foreground trees, one has to several things to consider. One is it someplace where people are going to bump it and hit it? And is it someplace where people can see it? Because, you know, you go to the effort to make one, you sort of want people to be able to see it. The harbor. Very recently, I decided to weather the trackways. I had a little dark, smudgy look to them, grease and oil coming off the wheels, ground up iron, brake dust, etc. Very soon, I plan on putting a coat of varnish on the water and make it shiny, or somewhat shiny. I don't know about gloss. I might not go to gloss. Semi-gloss, perhaps. Oh dear, I see a little bit of a problem here. I'm going to fix it right now while I can, while I'm thinking of it. That's one of the problems, of course. Oops, oh my God. I should never have done that. No damage done. This, I decided, needs to go here. I had it out of the way there while I was doing my weathering. I want this to be able to get back in there, so it has to have clearance. Of course, the container crane. Originally, I was going to have it go up and down, but turned out to be more trouble than it was worth. And it didn't really accomplish anything if you can't go back and forth and go this way too. So having it go up and down was a decision was made by the executives here at FARLAND HOWE to forget about it. We do have some additional lighting, though. So if they're working over here, or if I want to film and a locomotive going underneath or something, I could very easily turn these lights on and brighten things up. There are some lights inside. There is a series of small yellow LEDs. So in the total dark, there is some light. This dining car, restaurant coach is just sitting there. I was going to do a sequence where it had a bad wheel or something, and they dropped it off, you know. But it's difficult to get from the main lines over to the harbor area. It can be done, because there are crossovers. But you would have to run quite a ways on the freight line with your passenger train in order to drop it off. So it could be done, but instead of going through all that, filming that sequence, I thought it would be easier just to put it there. Conversation piece. Another custom cabinet, slightly different design, oversized. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but we'll try. Pretty hard to make it out. And there's the lighthouse. Here are the dunes. Well, that young man is up on the rock. I'm not sure where he's looking. Oh, let's have him look out. Well, now he's looking into the back of the lighthouse. So this is the subway or tunnel outlet to the beach. And it had to be built up to keep the waves from slopping in there in the wintertime, although they do anyway. And the other end of the tunnel is right over there. This, of course, is Farcliff Beach Station. This gentleman is waving at his lady friend, who is right there. She's very happy to find him. She was quite worried, I'm certain. There's my cigarette machine, right there. Had to have one of those around in those days. Ah, no comment. Caravan park. Apparently that couple is staying in the camping coach. They brought their folding chairs with them. Girls are getting a little exercise there. There's the men's and the ladies. Ladies, men's. More than one person has noticed that this tunnel is finished on the inside. And the question is always, well, how did you do that? Well, the answer is, I built a tunnel away from the layout and finished the inside, and then brought it in and put it down and blended it in to the rest of the scenery. It's a little bit harder to do than you might think, especially when it's a tunnel with a somewhat organic shape. Makes it more difficult because making sure everything's going to fit, and the fact that these tracks are elevated off the table right here is another added difficulty. They're sitting on Woodland Scenic's foam incline blocks, and of course that raises it from the table. Well, how much, you know? When I built that, everything was still in flux, and I was having to guess about how high the tunnel needed to be for trains to clear it. But it worked out, and I haven't really had too much trouble with it. Every couple of years I have to go and push up on the bottom inside to get it to get out of the way because it's grazing a train. Farcliff Bank, beyond. And I would say that about concludes our visit to Farland.